move with you. Available exclusively at Men's Warehouse.
Time for some South Carolina analysis from a man who knows. New Fox polling numbers out today, painting an interesting picture in that state with 2 days before the primary. Donald Trump still holds a commanding lead. Trump is at 32%. The closest, Ted Cruz at 19. Then you see Rubio 15, Carson and Bush 9 apiece, and then Kasich at 6%. Congressman Mick Mulvaney is a member of the House Freedom Caucus. He lives in upstate Rock Hill, comes to us today from Charlotte, North Carolina. Has not endorsed anyone yet. Before I show the numbers, why not?
I haven't endorsed because I haven't figured out who I'm voting for yet. I was with Rand Paul and he got out of the race, and I've sort of got it narrowed down a little bit. I'm pretty sure I'm not voting for Bush, not voting for Kasich, but other than that, it's pretty much up in the air. Hard to endorse somebody and tell you I think you should vote for them when I can't figure out who I'm voting for myself.
Nikki Haley got behind Marco Rubio yesterday. I don't know how much of an impact that will have on him come Saturday. The conventional wisdom in New Hampshire was that if Rand Paul got out, his supporters go to Ted Cruz. Is that where you're going?
You've seen a little bit about that down here, and Nikki helped a little bit. I think Nikki actually probably helps Marco more nationally than she does here in South Carolina, just because the endorsement comes so late in the process. That being said, as I've traveled the state the last 3 or 4 days, I'm overwhelmed at the number of people who are still undecided. My guess is half the people here have not decided yet and may not decide until Saturday when they go in. So this is still very much an open race.
That's been the case. I mean, that was the case 4 years ago, as we mentioned a couple minutes ago. All right, Trump now, our polling at 32, Cruz at 19. Among very conservative voters in South Carolina, Cruz at 31, but Trump right behind him at 29%. Show you another one. Among white evangelical voters, Trump is up 8 points at 31% and Cruz at 23. So what's going on there?
You know, I was talking with Rick Perry about this. Rick is a friend of mine, about why evangelicals would vote for somebody who admits that he doesn't go to church. And I think what he told me was very insightful, which is that they're just tired of being told the same thing again and again every election cycle. They're told the same thing, and yet nothing ever changes. So they probably just said, look, we're going to vote for the guy who might mix things up the most in Washington, D.C. So that's the only explanation I can come up with. What I see on the ground, Bill, is pretty much what your poll just came out with, which is Trump sort of ahead, and this fight for second place between Cruz and Rubio is extraordinarily close.
One more thing. This is among veterans now. Big vote in South Carolina, right? 50,000 veterans living there. Is that number about right?
It's at least that.
All right. So among veterans now, in December, see that top line to our viewers? Trump was at 29%. This is all post-debate polling now. He's jumped 8 points to 37%. So now you have a sample of South Carolina voters after Donald Trump went after George Bush on the Iraq War. What explains that?
Listen, if I had an explanation for Donald Trump, I'd be on television making a lot more money than I am doing what I'm doing. I don't know. All I know is it's been a really, really bad year for Jeb Bush. It's almost poisonous here for him, which is the exact opposite of what you would expect. I saw some other numbers today about, I think it may have been on your show, about the Republican candidate that Republicans would never vote for. He's in second after Donald Trump, which is stunning for South Carolina. I think South Carolina has changed. We used to be perceived as this firewall for the establishment, and that's pretty much out the window. We are the lead of the anti-establishment movement in the country right now, and I think that explains Donald Trump as much as anything on the military or the VA or any other policy.
That is true for Gingrich winning in 2012. I agree with the logic there. I think that followed through. But among veterans now, in your state, significant vote calling into question the Iraq War and weapons of mass destruction. Plus or minus on that number, 7.5 points. So it could be Trump's at 30% and Cruz at 29%, which would be, just a point difference. But if this number is real, what does it tell those veterans about how Trump would be as commander-in-chief?
But on that specific point, thank you for raising that, because I've actually seen that in my district in a very visceral, personal way. I've had veterans come to my office a couple years ago and say, look, we have to get out of Iraq. We have to get out of Afghanistan. My kids are fighting there. They're on their 5th tour. Their family is falling apart. South Carolina is extraordinarily pro-military. We're extraordinarily patriotic, but we're also asked to fight a lot of the wars, and I think there is really a certain war weariness amongst the population here, and if Donald Trump has tapped into that, that may help explain some of your numbers.
Now, listen, thanks for your time today. Appreciate the analysis. Will you endorse before Saturday?
I'm just hoping I can decide before Saturday.
Wow. Well, there's that. Mick Mulvaney, thanks. Good to talk with you today. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, y'all.
You bet.
So new economic and demographic trends bubbling beneath the surface in South Carolina, changing the presidential race in the